Good morning ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we are going to cover the current affairs. For mobile optimized ebooks, please install GKToday Academy app and you can attempt the quiz in this app and you can read detailed explanation. For regular updates, please join our Telegram channel. The revision PDF are uploaded on this Telegram channel. Now we have started a new channel, Civils Academy. Content on the Civils Academy channel is for UPSC and for state PCS examinations. So you can subscribe to it if you find it relevant. Now let's start. The foreign grants received by NGOs, that is non-governmental organizations in the country, are regulated by which act? The act is FCRA, that is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So if you are a non-governmental organization and if you want to receive any foreign funding, then you need to register as per the provisions of this FCRA Act, and this is regulated by MHA, that is Ministry of Home Affairs. So once any non-governmental organization register themselves, then a unique FCRA registration number is provided, and this registration number is valid for 5 years, and after every 5 years you need to renew it. Please note that this registration number can be cancelled if the NGO is involved in any anti-national activities or if they violate the provisions of FCRA. So now recently government released data in this context, and as per that information, approximately 20,600 registrations were cancelled on the violation of provisions of FCRA. Now recently this FCRA was amended, so few important points are that A, Aadhaar number is mandatory for FCRA registration. Second thing is that the NGO can receive foreign funding through a bank account in the State Bank of India. As we discussed earlier, the registration of NGOs is valid for 5 years and they need to renew it. It is implemented, that means the act is implemented by Ministry of Home Affairs. As per the recent CAG data, CAG stands for Comptroller and Auditor General of India, what is the profit earned by 247 central public sector enterprises during 2018-19? So first thing first, the data is from CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General, and as per this report, 247 central public sector enterprises in our country earned the profit of rupee 1.7 lakh crore. Now, one important thing is that out of this total profit, 73% of this was merely 63 companies. The report also revealed that 189 central public sector enterprises had suffered a loss of 1.4 lakh crore. So you see, on one side, we as a country earned 1.7 lakh crore. On the other side, 189 central public sector enterprises suffered a loss of 1.4 lakh crore. Now, since we are talking about big numbers, let me give you one estimation that for this year, the disinvestment target is 1.75 lakh crores. This is the disinvestment target. Now, coming back to CAG, so it is a constitutional authority. Present CAG is Mr. G.C. Murmu, and CAG presents 3 audit reports to the President. This is important because in most of the exams they ask this question directly. So what are these 3 reports? First is audit report on appropriation accounts. Second is audit report on finance accounts. And third report is audit report on public undertakings. So these 3 reports are presented by CAG and these are presented to the President of India. Startup grants is associated with which bank? So this is an initiative of HDFC Bank, and HDFC Bank is inviting applications from startups and entrepreneurs for its startup grants initiative, and this is a part of Parivartan. This Parivartan is a part of its CSR activities, that means CSR activities of HDFC Bank. What is CSR? It is corporate social responsibility. So as the name suggests, these are the tasks which are completed by the corporates as a part of their social activities, and this CSR is mandated in the Companies Act, which is the nodal ministry for the implementation of Companies Act. It is MCA, that is Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So under this Parivartan initiative, HDFC Bank is going to support startups as a part of its CSR, and this time it is going to focus on the edtech companies, that is startups in the education sector and in the skill development sector. Okay, now coming back to the CSR, so clause 135 of Companies Act talks about this CSR concept. This Companies Act is of 2013, and the activities which can be undertaken by a company under CSR are specified in the Schedule 7 of this Companies Act. of 2013. Recently, HDFC Bank was in news because it is DSIB, that is Domestic Systemically Important Bank, and this tag was given by our central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India. So 3 banks are DSIB, these are HDFC, ICICI and SBI. Where is the headquarters of Indian Drugs and Pharmaceuticals Limited located? So the headquarters is in Gurugram. Recently, this Indian Drugs and Pharmaceuticals Limited was in news because recently it was announced that this IDPL and Rajasthan Drugs and Pharmaceuticals Limited would be closed. Apart from that, the government also announced that they are going to disinvest in Hindustan Antibiotics Limited, Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals Limited and in Karnataka Antibiotics and Pharmaceuticals Limited. Disinvestment target for this year is 1.75 lakh crore. Formation and promotion of 10,000 belongs to which category of scheme? Actually, formation and promotion of 10,000 FPO, that is Farmer Producers Organization. So this is a part of Central Sector Scheme. Name is Formation and Promotion of 10,000 FPO, that is Farmers Produce Organizations. Recently, it was in news because of budgetary allocation. So these FPO will be provided financial assistance of up to Rs 18 lakh per organization for a period of 3 years. Now, there are 2 different types of schemes. One is Central Sector Scheme, another is Centrally Sponsored Scheme. So as the name suggests, centrally sponsored schemes are sponsored by the central government, and even state government are going to provide the financial support for these schemes. On the other hand, in case of Central Sector Scheme, central government is going to provide the financial support and it is going to be the responsibility of central government only. So these will be implemented by central government only. In case of Central Sponsor Scheme, usually the schemes are supported by the central government but they are implemented by the state government. NCB, that is Narcotics Control Bureau, released a joint action plan to prevent drug abuse among children, along with which organization? So the organization is NCPCR, that is National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. So these 2 organizations, that is NCPCR and NCB, collaborated to prevent the drug abuse among children. So as per the proposal, various steps will be taken to prevent such drug abuse. Now, NCPCR is a statutory body and it is established as per the provisions of CPCR Act. What is CPCR? It is Commission for Protection of Child Rights and it is an act of 2005 and it is under WCD, that is Ministry of Women and Child Development. On the other hand, NCB is Narcotics Control Bureau, it is under MHA, that is Ministry of Home Affairs. Present Director General of NCB is Mr. Rakesh Asthana. Recently, Home Ministry was in news because Home Minister launched Ayushman CAPF scheme. So it is for the Central Armed Police Forces. CAPF are under the administrative domain of MHA, that is Ministry of Home Affairs. So for this Ayushman CAPF scheme, MHA collaborated with National Health Authority. Recently, Mr. Ram Sevak Sarma has been appointed as the new CEO of this National Health Authority. Government is to frame design for deep sea fishing vessels to implement which scheme? So the name of scheme is Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Matsya is related to fisheries sector. So it is a scheme for the development of fisheries sector. Now recently this was in news because the government has set up nodal authority to frame the approved standardized deep sea fishing vessels. Design and specifications. So 2 important terms are there. First is DSFV. What is DSFV? It is deep sea fishing vessels. This is self-explanatory. These are shipping vessels for deep sea fishing. Second term is ASDDS. This is approved standardized deep sea fishing vessel design and specification. So how these ships are going to be, what is going to be their design and specification? For this approval, there is a nodal authority. Now only those ships which are of approved design will get the benefit of subsidy under this PM-SSY scheme. In simplest term, government notified this scheme. Government said that if you are going to use the ships which are as per our design and specifications, then you would be eligible for subsidies under the scheme, or else you won't be eligible. That's it. Now this PM Matsya Sampada Yojana is its flagship scheme for the sustainable development of fisheries sector. Nodal ministry is going to be Ministry of Shipping, Ports and Waterways. The Major Port Authorities Bill seeks to replace which act? So it is going to replace Major Ports Act of 1963. And this is for the regulation of major ports in our country and to provide the autonomy to these ports. Now for the management of these ports, the Board of Major Port Authority would be created for each major port. Right now there are trust, that means port trust, to manage these ports. And after this new bill, that means once this new bill will be passed and after its enactment, Board of Major Port Authority would be created for the management of each major port. Okay, please try to answer what is the difference between major port and non-major port. Which type of steel has been included under Production Linked Scheme, that is PLI. So specialty steel has been included in PLI. As the name suggests, what is PLI? It is Production Linked Incentive. That means your incentive will be based on the production. If you are going to produce more, you will get more incentive. So recently, government has approved inclusion of specialty steel under this Production Linked Incentive Scheme. This has been done to promote the domestic manufacturing of specialty steel. Now what is the meaning of this term specialty steel? It is also known as alloy steel and it has special properties like resistance to corrosion or to heavy load. So that's why it was in news. So these were the most important questions. Now we are going to cover important news events. First is Jean-Claude Carrière. So Jean-Claude Carrière passed away recently, and Jean-Claude Carrière was a novelist and screenwriter from France. Next is related to Indian Railways. So recently Indian Railways created a new record for highest ever freight loading, and this is highest ever. So what is new record? It is 119.79 million tons. Next is Safer Internet Day. So it is observed every year on the second day of second week of February, and the theme was Together for a Better Internet. Next is Police Museum on Chambal Dacoits. So Madhya Pradesh is going to set up police museum at police headquarters in Madhya Pradesh in Bhind. Next is Jala Abhishekam. So this is a water conservation initiative, and recently Defense Minister Mr. Rajnath Singh inaugurated certain water structures. These water structures are made for water conservation, and these water structures were constructed in Madhya Pradesh. Next is Mandarin duck. So recently this duck was in news because it was spotted in Assam after 118 years. Usually it is found in Eastern Asia. Next is US-Mexico border wall project. So this was a project proposed by US President Donald Trump. As the name suggests, it is a project to make a wall between the US and Mexico. Recently it was in news because new US President Joe Biden has revoked the emergency order that was passed by Trump to construct the wall between US and Mexico. Next is related to DGCA, that is Directorate General of Civil Aviation. So recently it was in news because it announced an increment in the fare of air travel. So the upper price band has been increased by 30% and the lower band of price for the shortest route has been increased by 10%. You just need to remember this upper and lower limit. Next is related to Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha. So recently, Patent Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad retired, and now Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge has been named as the Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha. Mr. Azad retired from the Rajya Sabha recently. And last is related to Turn Around India 2020. So this is a book by R.P. Gupta. So these were the most important news events. Now test. So first question is, a working group of IRDAI has proposed to reintroduce ILIP. What is the full form of ILIP? Second question is, which state has inaugurated the Office for Digital Economy Mission? Third question is, the Supreme Court has stayed the dismantling of which aircraft carrier? Fourth question is, which country launched a 10-year space program? Fifth question is, which organization has recorded its highest ever freight loading recently? Sixth question is, BioAsia is a flagship summit hosted by which Indian state? Seventh question is, TPR, that is Trade Policy Review, is related to which organization? Eighth question is, Prarambh Initiative is a summit related to which scheme? Ninth question is, Shirwani Hills is located in which state? And last question is, what is Khadi Prakartik, which was in news recently? Now these are 10 questions, and all of these questions are covered directly or indirectly in our previous videos. If you are not able to answer them, that means you are not revising properly. And if you are not going to revise properly, not only in this subject, but in any subject, if you are not going to revise properly, no matter how many sources you are covering, you won't be able to answers the question correctly, because this is competitive examination. You have to read a lot, and in order to retain this much information, you need frequent revisions. Now a new culture is going on, this YouTube culture. Everyone is following different YouTube channels without making any notes or without doing any revision of that content which they consumed on YouTube. Please remember, your brain will not be able to process the information if you are not going to revise it. So if you are watching a lecture on YouTube, make sure you have something to revise. Anyway, enough of Gyan. So that was all for the day. Thank you.